Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is that you're watching. Welcome back to Conversations on the Couch. I am your host, B.A. Shepherd, and I'm glad that you are here. So thank you so much for being here. Let me see who's joining us. Say hello from wherever you may be so I could see you, give you a shout out and recognize you, right? We're doing this thing called community together and building these relationships. So um, I love recognizing you, and I appreciate you being here and having the opportunities to grow together. 2 Acre Homestead, what's happening? Good to see you. Good to see you. Toby Wan, JSK, JS Kaplan, good to see you. So good to see everybody. So let me see who is here. Who else is here? Shelly Rose. Shelly Ross, let me know where you're joining from and, your hometown, your city, wherever you may be. And I give a shout out. Yep. What's happening, Joy B? Good to see you, as always. So tonight, real quick, we're not going to hang out long tonight, but there's a topic that I think is pretty fun that we're going to talk about, and it has to do with adding value to relationships and how we can add value to relationships and something that we can do to add value. And earlier today, I went out on a limb. I was posting. If you're not following me on Facebook, and you're on Facebook, then jump on Facebook, follow me, Brian Shepherd, and because I post questions and things there on Facebook, and that allows for a lot of great interaction. But today's question that I posed was this. I said, for the marriage-minded people. This is for the marriage-minded people. You may not be marriage-minded, but it'll work out either way. So just hang with me on this. But my question was, what's your marriage date? What's your wedding date? What is the date for your wedding? If you're marriage-minded, what is the date for your wedding? And if you don't have one, just make it up, right? Just make up the wedding date, whatever the date is, make it up. You may not even be talking to anybody right now. You may not be dating, any of that stuff. But I'm not worried about all that. My thing is, if you are marriage-minded, set a date. Just set a date. And so if you're not a part of the Facebook group and the Facebook community, but you are marriage-minded, set a date right now. What is the date that you would select? What's the date you're going to get married? Okay, just come up with a date and, write it down. And you might think, like, why would I do that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Couple weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, I talked about having vision and forethought for being married. If you want to be married, okay, let's strategize this thing. Let's not just think that it's going to happen. Let's strategize it. And so one of the exercises that I put out there to do was to look at your state, the state that you're in, or the country you're in, or wherever you might be in the world. Find out exactly how much it costs to get a marriage license, and all the technical components needed for you to get married. Find out how much it costs. Take that money, put it in an envelope, save it. Write on it, marriage money. Don't mess with it, nothing. Just take that money, put it aside, save it. Don't touch it. Right? Make an investment into your future right now, today, with an action that says, hey, I'm sowing seed into my future. I believe this. I want this so much that I'm going to take money out of my pocketbook, my purse, my bank account, whatever it may be. I'm going to dedicate this right now to this thing that I say that I want. I'm not messing around. I'm not waiting. I might not be dating anybody, nothing. But I'm putting this money aside. Like, if you want it, put the money aside. Right? Sow the seed, start moving in a direction towards having that thing. So I said, okay, put that money aside. And so today, when I followed up with, like, what's your wedding date? We're building something here. We're building a thought. We're taking action. What's your wedding date? What is it? Oh, my date. And so I was going through, and let me look on Facebook real quick, see if I can pull some of them up, because there were a lot of dates. People were putting in a lot of dates. And with that, I mean, it's exciting to see that people are taking action. So let me just give you some of the dates that were being shared. Married-minded people. There were 40 comments, right? 40 people commented. September 24th, August 13th, 2023. Until then, I'll be by myself, going to love myself, be completely happy. Some of my married people, some of the people that are already married, they're like, I was married 6/12/1999. I'm not married yet, so let's just say May 2024 or May 2025. 7/7/17, right? So people were commenting, they're putting it down. And then someone, Laura, she asked this, well, where are all the marriage-minded men? Because there was just a list of women that were putting in these answers. She said, where are the marriage-minded men? That was a great question she brought up, something to think about. But my point in doing this is that we start to think differently when we put a date on something. We hear this term as it pertains to relationships. We hear it, we talk about dating, but what really is dating? Like, if we think about the word, what is a date? Like, think about the calendar. A date is okay. I see some numbers coming up in the chat section. June 16th, 2023. Boom, got it. That's great. See, we're talking now. We're moving. Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's what we're doing in Green Bay, June 16th, 2023. So we're putting this thing into works. And then someone asked me the question. They said, well, what will happen though? What about if we put this day down there and I don't really want to be disappointed? I had to call time out on that. I had to put on my ref shirt, blow my whistle, time out. If we're thinking about the date, and then we're also thinking, I'm afraid to do it because I'm disappointed, I wanted to point out and show, I said, that's going to a negative mindset. See, we're starting off on our journey believing that it won't happen. So we have this negative mindset that I'll get disappointed when that time comes. And then I said, here's the good thing about it. You can set the date. You can put it on your calendar. You can circle it, put heart around it, something, highlight it. And guess what? If you get close to the date or you get to the date and you find out that it didn't happen, guess what you get to do? You get to reschedule it. But from now until that date, once you set a date, what it does is it turns your thoughts internal, where you can start saying, hey, I'm going to develop something. I'm going to start working on something. I'm going to start moving in intentional ways toward that date. See, the date means there's a moment in time that has been scheduled. That is a date. Now, what you decide to do on the date is totally up to you. And so here's my encouragement to you. If you want to add value to the relationships in your life, start dating more. Start dating more. Like, set a date for your desires. You might have heard the saying, a date with destiny, right? So a date, we are setting a moment in time where we are scheduling and thinking about and planning an activity. So start dating more. Start saying, hey, on this date, this is going to happen. On this date, I am going to launch my business. On this date, I am going to do this. On this date, I am going to do that. On this date, I will see the fulfillment of this. On this date, I'll lose the 20 pounds by this date. See, when we start thinking that way, you say, okay, I'm gonna give myself 3 months to lose these 20 pounds. Okay, great. All right. I got the date on the calendar. I'm working. It's me and this calendar, and I'm gonna make it happen. Yesterday, you all know, I launched the relationship membership group, right? Where we start diving in, doing deeper dives into topics, doing Q&As live, all that good stuff. The relationship roundup. That's what I called it. So you can go to www.relationshiproundup.com and check it out. And see, like, okay, why did I do that for yesterday? Well, yesterday was also my children's birthday. I had twins. They were born 17 years ago yesterday. And so for me, I looked at it as a great way to honor them. I'm like, okay, to build legacy, right? Like their dad, I'm thinking, the things that I do, I always want to make an impact on my children so that they can look and say, my dad, with the breath that he had in his lungs, he did certain things to build legacy, to impact people's lives. So in a part of celebrating them, I launched the membership yesterday. That I had the date. It was in my mind. I had a date. See, there was a due date for them that the doctor said, hey, the babies are due on this date. They were due. So there are some things in your life that are due. There are some things that need to come to a point of being due. Like, no, don't just keep going through life thinking that things are just going to happen willy-nilly. No. Set a date on that thing. You say, no, this is my time. This is time for me, for some things in my life to come due. I'm ready for this to happen. I don't want to just keep thinking about some days. I need to circle a day. So start dating. Start dating your desires. Put a date on it. Yeah, is it risky? Yeah, well, you might miss some dates, might some things might not happen by that time. Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about that. Put a date on it anyway. It's going to do something to your courage and your confidence. And when you take a bold stand and you say, nah, I want this by this time, honey, we're going on a date. Start setting the tone and the atmosphere in your relationship. Babe, we're going on a date on this day at this time. Be ready. We're going out. Be ready. We're staying in. Let's set a date to have dinner tomorrow night. We're going to sit at the table, enjoy one another's company, whatever it may be. Set a date with yourself. I was talking to a friend of mine today, and she went to New York. She went up there solo, took a little solo day trip up to New York. She set a date for herself to go up there and just enjoy New York. Set a date for yourself. Like to love on yourself, to be with yourself, to enjoy life. Like set a date. Don't be afraid of what might go wrong, what might not happen. Because let me just tell you, there are going to be some things that you set dates for, and you're going to achieve them even before that date comes, before the date arrives. So give yourself that opportunity too. Give yourself the opportunity to have something arrive early. Right? Set a date. It's all good. There, and let me share something with you. The Bible says this: to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So time is important. And so if we have this thing called time that we know is finite, time is also a boundary. Time also establishes standards. We have this thing that does so much. We don't need to be careless with it. We need to be intentional with it. If we are marriage minded, thinking about how we are going to produce the highest and the most connected and the healthiest and the most intimate relationships, then guess what we can do with time? We can use time as a tool for building those relationships. But not if we're afraid. But not if we're worried about disappointment. Look, if we're worried about disappointment, that's operating out of a place of lack. See, disappointment by definition says there's going to be some expectation that wasn't met. So you're operating, when you're thinking disappointment, you're thinking out of a place of lack. And we are not talking lack. We are not approaching relationships with a lacking mindset. We're not approaching relationships with this mindset of a deficit. No, that's not this chapter of life. This is not what we're doing. In this chapter of life, we are approaching our lives, life and love, from the mindset of having life and having it more abundantly. Not just having life, but having this thing called life and having it more abundantly. So the desires of your heart, the adventures of your life, you want to have your adventure of life and have it more abundantly. When I was thinking about I'm let you in on some intimacy here, a little intimate connection, tell you what I think. So I was thinking about my future wedding date. Someone asked me, they're like, well, what's your wedding date? And I was thinking and I was pondering. And I said, and I started looking up some things that I want to do. And I said, I chose December 20th, 2025. Okay. Why? There's strategy to this. Because I saw that at the end of this year in December, the Ultimate World Cruise is going to happen. Right? So the Ultimate World Cruise is like, you go to like 60 countries and you're on the boat for like, I don't even remember all the details right now, but you go to like six different continents and 60 countries and it lasts for like, I think 300 and something days. I need to look it up. The Ultimate World Cruise. But I was like, all right, I'm not getting married this year. That's not my plan unless the Lord really says otherwise. It's not my plan for this year. So I was like, okay. Well, maybe 2025, I can get married the week before, and maybe according to what the schedule was for this year, maybe the Ultimate World Cruise would leave about a week later. So I was like, I can get married at that week. And then the next week, I could go on this world cruise with my newlywed bride, and we can go on a cruise for the whole year. Basically for a whole year. And we'll just get to know each other for a whole entire year. That'll be the opening of our relationship. We'll start with a whole year of a cruise. So this is the thought. Why? Because why not? Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Why not think that way? When things are possible, why would we sell ourselves short? I'm saying certain things to you like right now to encourage your thoughts to think on a different level, to think differently. And then you start thinking, okay, in order to have that, what do I need to do? In order for me to have that, what do I need to do? How do I need to serve? What engagements do I need to take? What do I need to do in order to make that happen a year out from now, 2 years out from now? What do I need to do? What contracts do I need to take? What things do I need to develop? What do I need to do in order to have that? I've set a date with the desire of my heart. See, I see it. When you see the end from the beginning, it changes how you operate in the beginning. You look out and you say, okay, time. Let me look out in time to see that thing that I desire. I want to lose a few pounds. I want to start this. I want to write a book. I want to go on a trip. I want whatever it is that you want. I want to get closer to the Lord. I want to spend more time in my Bible. Great, fine. Whatever it is, think out to the end. What does that look like? Oh, this is how I'm moving. This is how I'm operating. Great. Now think back to your beginning right now and say, well, what do I need to do in order to have that result? See, we if we're just careless and we just move through life and we're not doing it with intention, then we'll be stuck in a place where we're wondering why things don't happen. How come things never work out for me? Well, did you have a plan? Did you have a strategic plan for your relationship? Nah, just kind of doing what everybody does, like what they do in the movies, right? Like you just meet and then, that's it, right? Everything just goes great. No, come on now. You do know those people are acting. They go home and they're married to somebody else. See, we get all caught up in these storylines and these different situations. We forget these people are just acting. That's not their real life. They are playing make-believe. And that make-believe confuses us and we think that this is actually real. No, there needs to be some strategy. If in order to build a house, you must count the cost. In order to build a house, there must be some plans. There need to be some blueprints. There need to be some instructions. There need to be some things. This is why so many hearts are broken. Because there are no plans. There are no strategies. There's no thought process that says, no, let's be intentional about this. Let's operate as if we really want to do this thing till death do us part. Okay, if we want to do this, that means, look, we know there's going to be some opposition. Okay, so how are we going to stand in the face of opposition? And let me just tell you, the best time to strategize against a storm and for a storm is in the time of calm. The best time to strategize against storms is when there is peace and when there is no storm. Because when the storm starts raging, and if you're trying to figure out, oh, Lord, how are we going to board up the house? How are we going to cover the windows? Somebody needs to go to Home Depot, get some supplies. No. The storm is here now. You should have thought about that beforehand. How are you going to think that your relationship is going to be the only one that doesn't have a storm? It is coming. There is going to be a storm in your relationship, right? And so since we know that, you can be an individual, exclusive person and start strategizing how to handle the storms. You know your attitude. You know your mindset. You know those things that tick you off. Come on now. You don't need somebody else to show up in your life to tell you that you are moody. You already know you're moody. So you need to start game planning. You need to go ahead, get yourself out some paper and a pen, and you start writing down, I do know I'm moody. And so when I am moody, honey, you can do certain things to help me. Here are some things. If you want to win with me when I'm moody, do this. You don't need anybody to tell you that. You know what makes you happy. Look, when I am moody, don't talk to me, right? Don't bother me because I'm in a mood right now. Don't bother me. You already know, right? I'm like, if I'm down, if I'm not really not really feeling it in life, I'm not really in my zone. We just had an argument. We just argued. Look, honey, when we argue, it's going to happen. We're going to have opposing thoughts, opposing views. When we argue, The worst thing to do is to separate and just go to separate corners. For me, like, that's a bad call. Because that space, that space isn't good for me. I know this, right? Like, I can plan for that storm. If we are arguing, you're like, I'm storming off, and you feel like you need to storm off and you just go, it's not good for me. Why? Because I'm okay by myself and I'll shut you down. And so if I shut down, then I'll become okay with you not there. That's a problem, right? No. I'm like, look, we're arguing, just come close. Like, I'm gonna try to act like I don't want you there and be like, all moody. But no, just sit close. Be close. Find a way to make sure, touch me with your elbow, get something on me. Little connection. Why? Because you guys know I don't like hide this. I'm like, no, I did the 5 love languages test. I read the book. Physical touch, quality time. Those are my top 2. So things are going wrong. Just scoot yourself on over. Be there. Right? You got to know you. And so this is the perfect time to start strategizing. Like, don't think that life is just going to just happen. Everything that you desire in life, you're just one strategy away. You're just one system away. You have to build it though. You can't just think that it's going to happen. No, there's an intentional, on purpose system that needs to be built in your life that needs to follow a system and a plan. You want to know what it is? It's right in the beginning of Genesis. It says this. God says, you want to dominate life? Do you really want to dominate life? Do you really want to maximize your opportunities of life? Do you really want to control the environment? Here, do this. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue. That is the equation to dominion. Everybody that has long-term success, they will do those things. They will be fruitful. They will multiply it. Right? Be fruitful, multiply. They will replenish. They will subdue. It's the equation for successful business. It's the equation for successful marriages and relationships. And then when things are falling apart, you can always go to that equation and find that something is missing, and that's why things are messed up. You got to have strategy, right? And strategy requires time. Systems require time. And we talked about this yesterday, redeeming time, meaning buying back time. So the more that you can strategize life so that you can have more time in your possession, right? Whether it is that you have a business that you've launched or you've written a book and you're doing things that from an entrepreneurial creative standpoint, where you're generating extra income and additional income, where you are not necessarily just trading time for money, but you have income coming in other ways, then guess what happens? You're able to do more things with time. And then you can start dating more things. You're like, hey, here's another date that I want to put on the calendar. You start thinking about your relationship different. Honey, let's put something on the calendar. Let's make a date. You can have daily dates, weekly dates, monthly dates, quarterly dates. When I was getting married, the pastor that I had talked to, he had given me a piece of advice, and he said, do this. He said, set aside an hour a day a week in a month, and a week a year. He was like, he said, just if you can do that, he's like, your relationship is going to be healthier. Your marriage will be healthier if you set aside an hour a day, 1 day a week, 1 weekend a month, 1 week a year. I was like, oh, sounds good. And you know what happened? We didn't do it. You know what happened? We ended up divorced. Not necessarily because of that, but in part because we didn't strategize well. And I take responsibility for that as the man. And you might be like, oh, it wasn't the man's responsibility. Listen, how I process is how I process, how you process, how you process it. I think that there were responsibilities that are on me as a man. I could have done a better job. Right? I had to take responsibility for not having enough boundaries and enough in terms of saying, no, this is essential. This is too important not to do. Can't leave this to chance, right? That has to be on me. Like, I this is how I operate. Like leadership, everything rises and falls on the back of leadership. And so if I'm in a position of being the leader, the head of a home, then I got to take the full responsibility of that. And I know that's not like common language, and I know that there are people that are probably that protest that kind of stuff, that kind of language. But the whole background of the way that I've learned says that there's nothing to protest there. Because the Bible, it says that I am to love, as the man, the head of my house, I am to love my wife the way that Christ loved the church. And it's a matter of patterns. So there's this pattern. He said you love your wife like Christ loved the church. And there's Christ and there's a church. There's a pattern. And then he says, the man is the head of the family, like the head of the household and all that stuff. So you're talking about the head of the body. And so you have the head and you have the body and you have husband and wife. It's just a pattern. Right. But in the pattern, everything has to relate to the same level of care, the same level of love, the same level of attention, the same level of nurturing and development. And so there's a beautiful picture because no head operates without a body. Right. Like, it's not a big deal to be like, I'm the head of this relationship. So what? You don't have a body. You're just a headless monster. Right. You're just a head rolling around on the ground. Like, this is stupid. It's nothing. The head and the body have to go together. And if they're not together, there's a problem. And so perhaps the thoughts and visions and everything, when you start looking at it as a whole picture, not as oh, you're supposed to do this because I'm the husband and you're supposed to submit to me. We're not talking about that. That's not how it rolls out. And I know people teach it like submission is this heavy-handed thing that you do. That's incorrect. The context of the way that it is shared in the Bible that talks about submission, it is not about a heavy-handed thing. It is about sacrificial love. And guess what? That level of love requires time. You don't just stumble into that. You need to practice. You need to work on being able to submit yourself so that you can love someone into submission, so that you can sacrifice yourself into submission. But if you don't ever practice sacrifice, guess what? You can get married all you want. You're not going to be sacrificial. You won't have a sacrificial approach to love because you never had to practice sacrifice. You're just stingy. You're just selfish. It's just all about you. This is why it's so hard. This isn't like a popular message. I don't expect for numbers to just be like ding, 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 ding. People, oh, that went viral. Man, please. Like, certain messages don't go viral. Like, that is not a viral message. That is not easy. I'm not trying to sacrifice. Like, no, I don't want that. That's hard. Strategy, hard. Like, dedicating time, hard. Making a date, being committed to it, moving towards it, that's more challenging than just saying, I'm not going to make a date at all. And then whatever happens, just happens. Oh, that's easy. That's like, I'm not going to make any commitment to the gym or my health, but if I happen to get healthy, great. Now, no one would believe that that's actually going to happen. None of us believe we're just going to stumble into being healthy. But somehow we think we're going to stumble into rich, thriving, prosperous relationships that are like intimate and connected. Come on now. Relationships deserve more honor than that. We don't actually think that. We don't. So what do? Strategize. We plan. We think about, we consider. We go back in and we like analyze, like, okay, I'm doing this and this is the output that I'm getting. What can I do to change this outcome? I don't like our relationship. We're not really connected. We're not communicating. What can I do? All right, let me set aside some time. Perhaps I need to get off of my devices and, like maybe I need to do some things differently. I'm not investing enough time into this area. I need to work on this and then I can, look for different results. Time, schedule. See, there's a time for everything. Sometimes it's time to have fun. Sometimes it's time not to have fun. Sometimes it's time to work. Sometimes it's time to build up. Sometimes it's time to tear some things down. Right? So when you start thinking about it, what time is it in your life? It's time to make a date with your desires. What is it that you want? Marriage-minded people, I encourage you, set a date for your wedding. Just set it. Set it and watch what happens when you set it. Something's going to happen on the inside of you where it's going to be like, I don't believe I just did that. I just openly said that I want to get married on this particular day. Okay, let me get ready. See, when you set a date, depending on how you are, if you set a date and you know that you're going to have a date, start preparing for the date. What do you want to look like when the date comes? What do you want to sound like? How prepared do you want to be for the date? How much do you want to know yourself? How equipped do you want to be? Right? What do you want? How do you want to show up for your date? And side note, for those of us that like to be late, right? Be prepared, right? Don't, there used to be a thing like, oh, it was like popular for women not to be on time. That's not cool. Like, no, be on time. Don't you don't have to be late. If you set a date, be on time. Okay, be on time. That respects time. You want to respect it, right? But just be on purpose, right? Be intentional about how you're using time. And the more you do it, the more you practice doing it, then like you're going to see changes in your life. It is going to change you because, like I said earlier, time creates boundaries, time establishes standards, time makes you exclusive. It's a major part of being an exclusive, time, because now you're not wasting it widespread on every person that walks by. No. You're like, no, my time is too important. I don't have time to be messing around with you. My time is too important. So understand the value that you have. And if you want to add value to relationships immediately, if you want to add immediate value to relationships, start scheduling things. Put things on a date. Make a date with your desires. And you're going to add value to it because you are saying that this thing is so important that you are going to set aside a limited resource in order to invest in this particular area. That's how you know that this is important to me, because I'll be there at 7. Okay, 7. I'm going live at 12. Okay, I'm live at 12. It's important. So you do the same thing. And in that, value increases. Why? Because you begin to appreciate that moment more. What does it mean to appreciate? To appreciate means to add value to. Diamonds, they appreciate over time. There's an appreciation. Value is added to that. So when you want to add value to your relationship, say, hey, I'm going to set aside time for it. And then that increases your appreciation because you're going to think about it. You're going to plan for it. You're going to strategize it. And so that one date and time has now caused more time to be used in an investment toward that thing. And because your mind and time are geared towards that thing, where your treasure is, that's where your heart's going to be also. Start thinking about the person. Start thinking about the love of your life. Start thinking about the marriage that you want to experience. Start thinking about it now. Like, like how beautiful is that person's face? How special is it to hold their hand? Start thinking about now. I just got goosebumps saying that, because you start thinking about it and your heart becomes so tender towards that moment that when you finally see them, when you finally touch them, smell them, hold them close, you're going to know, I thought about you. I've been appreciating you for years. I've been adding value to you in my mind and through my actions. So honey, check this out. I have this envelope and it has our marriage money in it already because I knew you were coming. Right? Like we know, like everybody in this community that has done it, you have the envelope with the money in it. You're like, I have my marriage money. I can get my certificate. Here it is. Babe, I knew you were showing up. I have the marriage money. Here it is. This is a seed. I've sowed this seed a long time ago. I knew you were coming. I'm ready. I'm ready for this date. It's good stuff, right? Life is so, like, God blesses us to have this mindset where we can be open. This is why I believe when you start to look in the Bible and you see it through the lens of love and not hatred and division and all that, when you see it through the eyes of kingdom living, meaning there's a king and he has a domain, and when you see that the king's domain can be everywhere in our life, that's rich. uh, there's no The blessings of the Lord, the Bible says, the blessings of the Lord makes rich, adds no sorrow. It's a blessing. So if you haven't become a part of the relationship roundup community, I encourage you to be there. um, what we do here is the tip of the iceberg to what is yet to show up. And so there's a very special moment that we're having right now, because you all, whoever is a part of it now, you're the founding members of the relationship roundup. You're the ones, like I talked about it yesterday. And so all of you are the ones that are the pioneers that are leading the way in a revolution of relationships. Like, we're going to change the world. We are going to see healthier relationships be birthed out of these connections. This is going to happen. Now, whether or not you're there, totally up to you. I'm going to be there. Others are going to be there. But if you're not going, if you're up, it's up to you whether or not you're going to be there. But you get a chance to be at the beginning of something. Like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have this time. We're going to have these connections. We're going to have Q&A, and it's going to grow. But like I share with you, you have to start. You got to start somewhere. And so often when it comes to relationships, we're afraid to start. And so I like to model the things that I talk about. I'm like, no, you got to start and go through the bumps, go through the bruises, go through the learning curve. It's a relationship. This is what happens. Like, this is what you have to do. Every relationship goes through the same thing. So here it is, new relationship starting. There's a new connection that is available to the world now, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm like, hey, this is a new level. Going to a new level now. There's more that I know that I can give beyond going live like this. I know that there's more in me. So, like, I want to serve that to those that want to go to the next level with me. I'm saying, hey, do you want to go to the next level in this relationship? Let's do it. Because we're building healthy relationships. So bless you all. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. And as I do, I'm going to bless you with a prayer, and we can shut it down for the night so you can go set some dates, right? That's another good part about the relationship roundup, is that we'll, when the different assignments, opportunities to take action, that's what we're doing. We're taking action. It's not like homework. No, these are action points. When we have these action points, there's accountability. That's going to be a thing. Like, hey, let's see your date, post it, share it, get on live with me. I might interview you, bring you to the stage, and let's talk about it. Right. So all that good stuff. So like I said, training class, coaching class, interaction, relationship building class, deep dive into relationships, where we take topics and we'll break them down to really more execution, right? Not all about being inspired. It's about, let's take some action. So, different templates and things that I create, all that good stuff will be in there, and I'll be sharing with you. So you'll be at the forefront of what's going on in my mind and as I share. So special guest, all that good stuff. All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for an opportunity to be together with this amazing community, amazing family of people, gathering of people. And thank you for their lives. Thank you for the blessing of these moments and how we are able to grow and develop and put ourselves make a mindset shift so that we can grow and operate and thrive in our relationships and in our daily activities, and how we can take this thing called life that you have given to us, and we can not only live it but live it more abundantly. Thank you for how practical things can be and how we can take simple steps that make profound changes on our lives, that we don't have to sit around wishing and hoping for things to happen, but that we can take action on purpose with intention, realizing that there is a specific plan and the specific ways to do things in order to see prosperity, that we don't just think that it's going to happen or have to be, frustrated that things aren't happening, but we can make the shifts and the adjustments that we need to make for things to happen, that we have the power to change life, that we have words that we can invest that will change our atmosphere, change our environment, change our relationships, that we have actions that we can take that will build up or at some points tear down, and whatever we need to do, we are capable and able. And so I just pray tonight for each and every person that they would know that they are capable. They are capable of having and experiencing the life that they have thought about, the life that you have blessed them to dream about. They are capable of having it, but they have to take action. And so I pray that they would be action takers, that they won't just sit back believing that they're too old or that they don't have enough money or that whatever the limiting belief is. I pray that right now they would just begin destroying that thought so that they are not sitting around arguing for their limiting beliefs, and that they know that they can operate in a prosperous way in life, in love, in relationships, in their finances, in their health, that they can prosper in every aspect of life. And so I pray that they would move forward in a brand new, fresh, revitalized way to experience life and enjoy it. I pray blessings upon them. I pray protection for them. May you encamp angels around them, keep them safe from harm and danger, whether it be seen or unseen. And Lord, we thank you in advance for your many wonderful blessings that will be brought to life through these times and through our actions. We count it as done already, so we thank you for what is being done and what we will soon see in our future. Thank you for the shift in our lives and the blessings of your presence. Bless us as we go. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So it's a wonderful evening. You all have, go out and enjoy yourself. Do something that refreshes you, builds you back up. Tomorrow's going to be a fantastic day of refreshing. Yes. You see my huge cup. This is my huge cup that I got for my birthday one time, and I've now broken it out, and it's like as big as my face. But this is my cup. It's my signature big mug. So when you see it, you know we've had a good time. But yeah, it's real. It is definitely real, and there's real water in it right now. So cheers. There's a lot of you to just give a little cheers to. So cheers. Gotta have a big mug. So, all right, you all have a fantastic rest of the night. I'm B.A. Shepherd, 2 P's, A-R-D, reminding you to be a shepherd. The world has enough sheep. Go check out www.relationshiproundup.com. Get connected, be a part of the community. Let's grow together. Love you much. See ya.